Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is brought to you by our friends at Fangoria Magazine. That's right, the first name in fright since 1979 is now an affiliate of America's Hometown Horror. And because of that, we can now offer you an exclusive 20% discount on any first-time magazine subscription or merchandise purchase by heading over to shop.fangoria.com and using the code HometownHorrorPod at checkout. That's shop.fangoria.com/HometownHorrorPod, or just use the code HometownHorrorPod at checkout for that exclusive discount on anything from Fangoria. Tonight's episode of America's Hometown Horror is also brought to you by our friends at Horror Facts Magazine. Never heard of Horror Facts Magazine? Well, if you're a horror fan, they're a name that you absolutely should know. You can find them over at horrorfacts.com, and they're a great resource for all things horror, including news, reviews, editorials, and lots of other horror podcasts, not only limited to, but including America's Hometown Horror. So head on over to horrorfacts.com and check them out. Now, let's get on with the show. All right, hello, and good evening to you all. Welcome to another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike, and I'm so happy to be here with everybody here tonight, including all of you listeners. Before we get going on tonight's movie and all the things that we're going to talk about, why don't we get out of the way a couple of housekeeping items. First and foremost, here's where you can find us on the interwebs if you're so interested in those sorts of things. First place is our website, ahhpod.com. It's AHHPOD.com. Head over there to find out more about the show and all sorts of fun stuff. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and the artist formerly known as Twitter, aka X. Just search for America's Hometown Horror and you'll find us, baby. You can also email us at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And most importantly, if you'd like to hear your voice on America's Hometown Horror, call us and leave us a voicemail at 508-927-1267. That's 508-927-1267. And of course, the most important thing you can do for us is to give us a like, a subscribe, and preferably a review. Hopefully a 5-star review if you think we do a 5-star job. That's the best thing to get us out there to more horror fans just like yourself. And last but certainly not least, I would be remiss if I did not mention our wonderful producer, Shaun O'Laughlin from Skywheel Media, who's now handling all of our audio and music production. And if you have a podcast that you're looking to blast off into the stratosphere in terms of audio production, get in touch with us. We'll put you in touch with Shauno and Skywheel Media. All right, gentlemen, we have an exciting one tonight. Let's do some introductions here real quick. Again, my name is Mike. You know that already. I've already said it. I'm joined here with Andrew and his very loud phone that he refuses to silence.
I always silence. Shut up.
No matter how many times I ask him to, it always goes off. It's okay. Just a couple of dings here and there from all of his friends that text him during the show. We're also joined by Matt. Hello, Matthew. Andrew, gentlemen, how are you doing?
Fantastic.
I'm good. How are you?
We're all doing good. We're doing good over here. Everything is grand over in America's Hometown Horror land, as they say. But I would be remiss if I did not mention that joining us this evening is a very special guest. You may know him from podcasts such as this one, America's Hometown Horror, and also Spooky 101, the official podcast of Spooktacular the movie. He's also one of the producers of the forthcoming Spooktacular Behind the Screams of America's original horror theme park. Also a friend of mine, a friend of the show, a friend of ours, and the only guy that I know with cooler Spooky World memorabilia than I have, and one hell of a model American. Please welcome back to the show our good friend Anthony Landry.
Oh, shucks! Thanks. throwing my hat into the ring this fall. So maybe I could campaign on my Spooky World merch and a friend to all Americans. So.
Love it, buddy. Good to have you back, man. We've missed having you on. I know it's been quite a while, so we're excited to have you. How have things been, my friend?
Doing good. Just doing that whole middle-aged new dad thing of walking that fine razor line between morbidly obese and overly tired. You know, just the usual.
Oh my God, you're being so hard on yourself right now. I feel like you, me, and Matt all kind of are in that same boat at the particular moment.
It's just our hearts have gotten so big with our children that it extends to our waists and breasts.
Yep. Exclusively. Yeah.
You got that love gut. Fine.
Especially if you're sucking down too many of those lovely Mayflower IPAs. All the IPAs lead to the hoppy beers lead to having man boobs.
Yeah,
Big fat man tits.
Like to call that daddy's little reward.
I thought they were just called bitch tits, but that's fine.
That's also true. They can also be called bitch tits. Andrew, coming forward to just lay down. The
I mean, I have bitch tits, so it's fine. I can't say
it's
I
okay.
don't.
I'm fucking with you. Oh my god.
My knees are hitting them every day.
Doing some jump ropes over there, Tone?
Oh yeah, legit.
Yeah?
You should see the ground in the snow or at the beach when they hit the ground. Just like two little people following behind me at all times.
Yeah, it's just a couple gnomes just wandering behind you.
Mm-hmm. I call it my slow regression into Artie Lang circa 2007.
That's tough.
Just stay away from the hard drugs. That's all I ask of you.
Yeah, keep your nose.
I'm more of the 2 cupcake for breakfast type of Artie Lang, you know?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so good to have you back. I'm really excited for this episode tonight. But thanks again for joining us, buddy. And so, how are things going over in the Spooktacular world and over in Tony Landry world? What are you working on these days, my friend?
Spooktacular world. After 4.5, nearly 5 years of a lot of work, came to a pretty hard stop in December. David is obviously working on trying to get this thing sold. I talked to him a couple weeks ago. We may have a suitor on that finally. It's more of just continuing to advocate for the people of New England to be able to see this film. And that is where my heart is. That is where my head is. And being a New Englander who still lives here, who knows the impact of Spooky World, there is nothing that I have ever wanted more since day one of this production than for everyone here to see it, because there is no audience who is going to feel this film more than the people who grew up around it. So, yeah, I mean, it's like one of those hurry up and wait scenarios right now. But I spoke to David. He's had somebody documenting his life through a book, so we may have news on that soon. But for me, I'm gravitating towards new endeavors. I have some really good friends out on the left coast, and we started speaking last October when I was out there, and we wanted to get into our own project. So we've been working since probably this January, having Zoom meetings nonstop, and I'm actually flying out at the end of the month to start working on some recorded sessions of I don't want to let too much out of the bag right now, but let's just say if you had Saturday Night Live that was just based off of horror wrapped into a podcast, and by season 2 it should have a video presentation, and we'll have celebrity guests and things like that to join in on the absolute unmitigated chaos that it's going to be. So, we started saying, let's think outside the box when it comes to this stuff. And we just said, let's run with it. So my friend Samantha Hale, you may know the last name. If you were a fan of Gilligan's Island, she is the granddaughter of Alan Hale, and she runs the Horror Nerd stand-up comedy at the Comedy Store in Hollywood, California. And along with my friend Bonnie Marie Williams, who is voiceoversuperhero.com. She's been in films, TV shows, commercials. You've probably heard her voice. If you've ever been to a PowerPoint, that's probably her voice in the background doing the narration. But we have some of the finest voiceover workers in the country lending us their pipes to recreate some of the greatest horror characters in the history of the world. So a lot of cool stuff going on that. A little bit different than a documentary, I'll say that, but a lot of good stuff. But obviously my number one job is just being a good dad and trying to be a good husband that doesn't have to sleep on the couch 364 days a year.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that last statement. I strive to those goals every single day. I know Matt does too as well.
It's a game of roulette from the minute my feet hit the ground out of bed every morning. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. No, I feel you, man. But I guess that's all very exciting stuff. And bottom line, this is a very busy guy, and we're very thankful to have him join us. That's I personally, as as we've talked about on this show quite a few times, I'm a big podcast, especially horror podcast connoisseur. And that description, behind the scenes baseball here, Tony. We've talked a little bit about this in the past, so I've known about it for a little bit, but I'm happy you're able to announce it now, and I can't wait to listen to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it at the end of the month, actually doing one in person at a studio, filming it out. So really looking forward to this, and really looking forward to hearing feedback from everybody. It's based off of horror nerd comedy. So this is going to be a fun show to deal with.
Sounds like it's tailor made for people like myself, Andrew, and Matt. Right, right, gentlemen?
That sounds fantastic.
Definitely.
Yes.
If it's inappropriate, we'll probably talk about it.
Even better.
Yeah, that fits right in. Sounds like you could do a double feature with us here over on the show.
You should hear our future Patreon episodes then.
Oh, I can't wait. I'll be one of those Patreons. But yeah,
thank you.
I know Tony. I was messaging you when we were planning this, and I'm very happy to have you on, because the couple episodes that we've done together, I know we've talked a lot about Spooktacular, and the other episodes that we've done some like countdown stuff, or like I think we did like a draft one time. But we've never actually sat down with all of us and just talked about a movie. So I'm very excited to do that tonight. And
I am pumped.
I know. I think all of us are a certain level of pumped to talk about this movie tonight. It is a relatively new release, so obviously, if dear listener, you have not seen the movie that you see in the title of your podcast feed, then we'll give you a spoiler warning, I'd say. But this is going to be fun tonight. I'm really excited. But with that being said, let's put a pin in that for a second. Why don't we talk about a couple of news things real quick before we jump into tonight's movie? Tony, you cool with that? Want to talk some news with us, brother?
Let's do it.
I was going to say you have no choice either way, because Mike's going to talk.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Like I can legit leave the room if you need, or
no.
I mean, you can if you want to.
If you want to. I mean, you would be like Kat when she's on, because she hates the news. She always has. But
no, man, give me some news. I've been out of the loop. I need you for that.
I usually try to at least pick one piece of news a week for some of my co-hosts. And the first one I picked tonight, Tony, is for you. Because I know that, again, you're the only person that has cooler Spooky World stuff than I do. And you're probably the only person I know who's a bigger Jaws fan than me, although Matt would probably throw his hat in the ring there. Tony, did you see that National Geographic is doing a documentary about Jaws coming out next year? Because next year is going to be 50 years since Jaws came out.
So I'm aware of the 50th anniversary and the events that are going to go on around it, but I haven't heard about this documentary. So this is exciting.
Yeah. So basically, gentlemen, from National Geographic, the documentary's working title is Jaws at 50, Jaws at symbol 50. Okay, cool, debatable on that topic. And what's particularly exciting about this project, that Spielberg's company, Amblin, is producing. And this is from Deadline, and I quote, Laurent Bozereau, if I pronounce that wrong, I apologize, will direct the documentary, which will include footage and photography from the Peter Benchley and Spielberg archives, as well as new interviews from the worlds of film, literature, pop culture, and ocean conservation. That last part is very interesting to me, because I know that Peter Benchley, after he wrote Jaws and was credited on one of the biggest movies of all time, pretty much spent the rest of his life trying to advocate for the support of sharks, because
I love sharks.
Yeah, I do too. Everybody loves Shark Week. I mean, but I think unfortunately he felt the effects of the fact that after Jaws, everybody in the world thought that every shark was a man-eating, killing machine. So
yeah, the Shark Union was up in arms.
You know what would be a better documentary? Boomer Jaws. It's just a bunch of sharks that swim up to their prey and then just stare at them like deadly in the face. They're like, what is going on?
And then ask for managers. Yeah, that would be a good one.
Jaws has been getting its AARP emails, huh?
Apparently.
Yeah.
But I one of the things I crave is behind the scenes stuff about Jaws because I've seen the movie so many times. I've read the book so many times. I've seen like all the behind the scenes stuff. So anything that comes out, and like I'm just super excited for it to be the 50th anniversary because Tony, it sounds like you've heard of some other things that are happening. But I guess,
Yeah.
gentlemen, round table thoughts on this. Tony, you're our guest. Why don't you kick us off? Because I know you love Jaws very much.
Oh, thanks. I mean, it honestly, when it comes to Jaws, if there's one of the things I hate the most is like competitions on fandom. It's like we all love this thing. It's like, yeah. I mean, like I love Jaws because it was the first movie that, as a kid, like at 5 years old, meeting my best friend was over the conversation, and I'm still friends with him this day, Joe White. He's a wonderful guy. We're both pushing late 40s, and we still watch Jaws annually together. Like it's one of those films where we were 5 at summer camp. We started talking about it. We used to go to the video store, and if it wasn't available, I knew he had it or he knew I had it, because that was back when VHS tapes were like $100 to buy one. It was unheard of. Jeez. Like, yeah, like I think 1989's Batman broke that trend when they started selling them for $19.99 each. Like that was when VHS became normalized. But anyways,
Rochelle was $105.
So actually, complete sidetrack here, folks. If you want to see how wild the VHS market is, just search VHS on eBay, especially horror. And there's some tapes that are like $350 because nobody saved a digital transfer or a master negative on it. So the only way to get stuff is on VHS. It's wild. But anyways, with Jaws, it is woven into the DNA of every horror fan, especially in New England. There's no question about it. And my friend, John Campiobianco, who did the It documentary, has been working, I believe, that would be funny if this is the documentary he's been working on for the past 2 years, because he's been working with Nicotero on it. But John is who I would consider like the authority now when it comes to Jaws stuff. So I have a piece of the Orca. I have that log. Did I show you that? The bookshelf? Did I show you that?
Yeah, you did.
Right.
I didn't know you had a piece of the Orca. That's incredible.
Yeah, I got a piece of the Orca, like probably about 4x4 from Menemsha, the people who salvaged the boat. But I actually have a log from the cabin that Spielberg and Carl Gottlieb stayed for the 3 months that they were there and kept rewriting the script every day. They knocked it down a few years ago. And my buddy Dana, who was one of the people who helped organize all of the Jaws fests, was the one who gave it to me, because he had to downsize in his house and I got a lot of his stuff. But to know that they're actually doing it through Spielberg, they're doing it through Amblin, that they're really like the guy who said he wanted nothing to do with it ever again is doing it is really good, because who knows, maybe we'll get some footage we haven't seen yet, which would be phenomenal because I've seen everything 40,000 times now. But yeah, let's give me all of the Jaws. Give me Jaws 50. Give me Jaws 100. Give me Jaws forever. That's the way I look at it.
Always. Yeah, Matt, I know you have Jaws tattooed on your leg too. And Andrew, you're a big fan of the movie as well. So gentlemen, we excited? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I got baby Jaws tattooed on my dick.
You got Baby Shark? You got Baby Shark in the schlong?
Oh God. I was gonna say something, but I completely lost my train of thought. Andrew made me laugh. No, it's okay. It's all good.
I'd love to see.
That's actually just crabs, Andy.
Yeah, I was wondering why I kept biting. I was like, God damn it. Felt like quit. My leg's getting chewed up.
You think you want to see something permanent?
Like a doll's eye.
Like a doll's eye.
I'd love to see if sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
If they include, because I love that image of, I think I don't think they have footage anymore, but they have images of when the Kinter boy is eaten on the raft, and they have these terrifying photos of like the shark breaching the water completely to eat him, and it's such a fascinating thing. And I think they had to cut it because they were like, that's a hard R rating if we have to push forward with that. But that image is horrific. So it'd be cool to hear them if they go into that a little bit. Because I mean, man, I would love to have seen that original footage because you get a little bit of that blood bubbling up towards the end the way they cut it. But to see a shark come up and eat a 10-year-old boy. It's really intense.
Matt, I gotta
and all the
stop you
people
for
on
a
the
second.
beach like, yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, you kind of sound like a psychopath with that description that you just gave. You're scaring
Oh,
me.
dude,
Very-
it's such an intense image. It looks so real.
For sure.
and you love it so much.
I mean, Jaws, I feel like for a lot of people just created like the most intense visceral fear they've ever had in their entire life, myself included. Like I remember the first time I ever saw Jaws, I had a pool party the next day and I was too afraid to go in the pool. Like that was,
Dude,
that
I
was
wouldn't take a
an
shower
actual
for a
thing.
year.
Yeah, really. Anything more? No thanks. Trivia question, gentlemen. Do you know, because obviously the Bruce shark animatronic prop that was used in Jaws was not real, which doesn't make it any less scary. Do you guys know what it's called when you have a phobia, a fear of underwater things?
Not up top.
Specifically things that are like animatronic-y. Submechanophobia. That's what you call it. It's all over TikTok and YouTube for whatever reason. And they focus a lot on the Jaws ride that used to be at Universal Studios because those animatronics underwater just sitting there. Yeah, it's kind of terrifying. So anyway.
Thanks for the Mike knowledge of the week to pick. That was phenomenal.
You're welcome.
I've never heard of
You're
that.
welcome.
That's
I'm
amazing.
happy I could bestow the knowledge upon all of you. It's what I do here on this show.
I'm going to
So,
use that this week in a sentence.
submechanophobia. All right. There you go. You heard it from me. All right, let's keep rolling with the news here. Next topic, guys. Have any of you, besides me, have you been keeping up with the Unsolved Mysteries reboot on Netflix?
Negative.
I know what you're talking about, but no.
No, Tony?
Yeah, I saw a few episodes, but it deviated so hard from the original in the trappings of that first show with Robert Culp and just the haunting background and all that stuff. I was like, take it or leave it. But what do you got?
Well, I was going to say, so, I mean, I love the weird true crime nature of Unsolved Mysteries. And I listened to the podcast that was out for a little while that has since ended. There is a volume 4 of Unsolved Mysteries coming to Netflix in July. So that's all I wanted to say there. If people are interested in that, that's something that is definitely, definitely in the field of horror. It's worth checking out if you can get past not having Robert Stack there hosting.
Hard to get past that.
I know.
I
like,
said
that's-
Robert Culp. Oh
I
my
don't
God,
think
that was Greatest American Hero.
I don't want to correct you there, but it's okay.
I'll do it.
All right.
I'm a buffoon. Just correct me all the time. I'm fine with that.
So we did an episode on The Thing a couple of years ago, and I remember the entire episode like a fucking moron. I called Rob Bottin the whole episode, and
Jesus Christ, you mispronounced that guy's last
wanted
name.
to jump off a bridge. But anyway, yeah, more Unsolved Mysteries coming to Netflix in July if people are interested in this. Tony, I also, next couple of topics real quick here before we jump into the movie, because I feel like we should obviously dedicate as much time as necessary to this film tonight. Couple of horror theme parky stuff things for you here, because we share the affinity with the world, my friend. Has anybody, Matt, Andrew, I know you guys haven't. Tony, have you seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire yet?
No, but I did finally see Afterlife, which, I mean, break out the tissues for that one. Like, that was great. Frozen Empire, I started seeing some very mixed reviews on.
Yeah, I think the nostalgia train has run out of gas for Ghostbusters, at least in terms of like continuing this story, because it did not get very good reviews. But that has not stopped Universal Studios in Hollywood and Orlando from doing a Ghostbusters Frozen Empire haunted house this year at Halloween Horror Nights. So could be fun, could be good. As I've advocated for on this show several times, I think at this point, Halloween Horror Nights is the premier Halloween attraction in the country. I know I have been. Andrew and Matt, unfortunately, not have been. That's not a thing to say. Have not been. That's only speak English. I've been trying to get them all to take a road trip at some point in the future. Tony, have you ever been to Halloween Horror Nights before?
I went to Halloween Horror Days, which meant I had the little guy with me last year, and we couldn't go at night. So we we saw all the staging and the prop work. Like they had the minions all dressed up as Frankenstein during the day and all that stuff. It was fun, but it's on my bucket list and to-do list to finally get out to see that.
You all got to do it. I'm telling you, you would all love it. I know you all very well. You would all love it very much. But I haven't seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire yet. They did a Ghostbusters haunted house a few years ago based on the original film. It was pretty good. Had a lot of really cool puppets and animatronics. It worked out really well. So hopefully this works this year. I still have yet to see Frozen Empire, but I do want to see it. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere right now, but I certainly will do that. And segueing into our final news topic here, Matt, Andrew, Matt, I think you were otherwise occupied with more important things at this point, but the day that this news dropped, you could have heard the sound of my, let's say, pants tent hitting the roof of whatever building I was in when they announced that Universal Orlando's newest theme park is going to have a year-round dedicated theme park land to the Universal monsters called Dark Universe.
Oh wow,
baby!
Yeah.
So they finally got They finally got something out of that Dark Universe IP.
They didn't get anything out of Tom Cruise, but they got some theme park stuff.
They did, but it came out of his ass.
His tiny little ass.
Yep. You're out of the closet, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, come out that closet. That's South Park for all you non-South Park watchers. But anyway, so this is going to be, I think it has to be, aside from, seasonal horror theme parks, right, that we're used to. This has to be, and this is like the type of thing that only Universal can do, where it's a year-round thing dedicated to like PG-13. It's not going to be like, you're walking into Terrifier or in a Violent Nature or Speaking of Evil.
Blumhouse.
It is supposed to be geared towards families, but push the boundaries of family entertainment. So there's going to be multiple experiences and restaurants. And you're supposed to be walking through like a European village that all the Universal monsters exist in. And there's going to be a roller coaster based on the Wolfman, and there's going to be what they're claiming is to be a revolutionary dark ride containing all of the Universal monsters. It's going to have animatronics, screens, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy, the Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Phantom of the Opera, and probably many, many more. Which
Invisible Man, I hope.
Invisible
Bingo,
Man,
yeah,
will be in there
has
as
to
well.
be.
Yep. I hope to see my boy Dr. Jekyll and his alter ego.
Well, I mean, the Invisible Man you probably wouldn't see though, right?
Well, that's the thing about the Invisible
You
Man.
can work with those bandages.
Yeah, he does a lot of work with those
true.
bandages.
Yeah,
So
he wears like a hood or something. Yeah,
I guess, guys, I know.
Just got a condom on. You're like, what the fuck?
That would be-
Man only
that
with
would
a
be
condom on.
that would be Hollow
That
Man.
would be Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon and Hollow Man. Different story for a different podcast. That's what we've yet to cover on this show, by the way.
I'm surprised you haven't picked that one yet.
It's going to be
And you're
something.
Infinity for like
I know. Yeah,
the Mummy and
it might as well have been an Invisible Man remake. It essentially was. But anyway, I digress. Guys, I mean, safe to say the four of us growing up, monster kids, right? Loving horror. Universal monsters, huge part of that, specifically for me. I think it's just so cool to see something like this is going to be there year round. And I personally and shamelessly just can't wait to fucking go there. I'm going to be close to 40 when I go, when my daughter's old enough to go, and we're going to go and have a fucking great time. Matt, thoughts?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, that sounds sick. I'd love that. I've spoken about it before, being Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein was my first real trip into horror at 5 years old, and watching Lon Chaney Jr., transform into the Wolfman, and that scared the absolute shit out of me. And then I went back the next morning and watched it again, and it just took off from there. So the Universal monsters I have the whole collection on Blu-ray and everything. I got everything under the sun.
Love it. Andrew?
I got one word for you. Fucking nerds. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, you're not wrong.
That's two words.
Yeah, I know.
Actually.
You can't trash on the Universal monsters. I don't really have the nostalgia because I didn't watch those movies when I was younger. So I don't really They're cool. Don't get me wrong. I love the wolf. I love every iteration of the Wolfman and Dracula and Frankenstein. Creature of the Black Lagoon, not so much. But
Creature Gilman's my favorite.
That's a cool one. Yeah.
But they never do any Gilman.
So I would say
the Gilman.
Even if you hadn't grown up watching like those movies specifically, right? Those specific monsters, I feel like were associated with every Halloween costumes growing up, all kinds of stuff. Eating Count Chocula or Frankenberry or Boo Berry or whatever else.
Or not even eating it and just collecting the cereal box upstairs.
Like this nerd does. Yeah. I mean, it's like they're so ingrained in popular culture. It's really cool to see them get their day in the sun. Tony, I'm sure you probably feel pretty similarly as I gush and make myself
all I can say
a
is,
loser.
Stop. We're all great big losers here. Don't worry. It's about time. I mean, how long did it take for Universal to actually finally embrace the horror end of things, like lean into it? Like when they started seeing like revenue come in from horror nights, like that was the only thing that changed it. The horror aspect of Universal was always on the back burner, and they occasionally knew the IP would generate money, but they never put it at the forefront. And having this being built is like kind of going to be like the Mount Rushmore for horror fans in a way, because we finally have a nationally embraced attraction. I mean, let's not dismiss what Disney did with the Haunted Mansion for years.
Or
like
Alien Hunter.
Bingo. Like they started embracing it, but for Universal finally say, we're putting money into a ride and a year-round attraction on this, that means that they understand the cash flow coming into them as a year-round thing with horror. And this is so badass. Like literally my first gateway into horror was as a child with the toys that I would get. I would get Dracula toys. I would get, around Halloween, you get the vinyl Halloween outfits. Like that was how you learned about it. Then you finally saw the movie on UHF TV, like me. It was channel 68 in 1984. I finally saw what Dracula was about and scared the hell out of me. And these are the 27 Yankees. This is like the best possible lineup of all time, finally getting their due. And my only question is, they're saying Universal Monsters, and we know what they're referring to with the classic era, the Silver Age. But look at the other properties that they own in horror. You could weave in Jaws. They have the property for Halloween 2. So you've got Michael Myers, right? So there's so many other things you can weave in. But as was mentioned earlier, I would love to have a little Abbott and Costello wink and a nod in there somewhere. Yeah. Like that's the stuff.
Oh man, me too. I love that movie. I know Matt and I have talked about it several times.
We also need to dedicate a full episode to Alien Encounter, because that is the scariest ride that's ever rided. Fucking anything.
Fun fact, we already have.
That's true. I thought we did, and I forgot. Fuck. Now I sound stupid.
No,
I thought we just did like best rides or something. I didn't
know we did a whole episode on that. That was a long time ago.
I was gonna say we should redo that.
It's hard to remember all the things we've talked about because we've been doing this for quite a few years at this point now. That was well before Matthew was a full-time member. That was a long time ago. In fact, we had our other friend Matt on, who is I remember that now. He at one point was working for the Walt Disney Company, designing attractions, and he is actually now, kind of to bring this full circle, working on Universal's new theme park. He works for Universal now, and he's working on Epic Universe, which is nice segue, Andrew. Good stuff, my friend.
That's what I meant to do.
Yeah, exactly. I meant to do that.
That's what I do.
Gentlemen, anything else of relevant note that we want to talk about before we just dive off the diving board into the deep end and talk about In a Violent Nature here?
I'm ready to stroll around in the woods.
All right, let's rock and roll. All right, before we do so, why don't we take a quick little break here for a word from our sponsors? We'll be right back. In a Violent Nature. All right, seriously though, we'll be right back.
It's official. The critics' decision is in.
Spooky World is spooktacular.
Enter the new black hole.
If you dare.
Or the new horror House of Wax. This year, don't miss the real Jason, Bobby Pickett, or Alice Cooper. Phone the 24-hour Spooky World hotline. 508-838-0200. That's 508-838-0200. Spooky World is just west of Boston and haunts every night from October 1st till November 1st. If you had the nerve, you'd phone 508-838-0200.
It's America's horror theme park. Spooky World.
Sleepy Clovers.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
The new face of evil is going to scare you to death. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. It's killer this year. Then be next door to the Abington Ale House. Barrett's Haunted Mansion. Eat, drink, and be scary. Go to bhmansion.com.
All right, we're back. Thanks so much for sticking with us through that commercial break. We certainly appreciate it. Hope it wasn't too long for you. But I'm excited for this one tonight. This should be, we haven't talked about, I'm trying to think, is this the second 2024 movie that we've talked about? I know we talked about Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah, this is definitely
right?
the second
This is
one.
number 2. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We've thought about others.
Yep.
But
Yeah, we haven't pulled the trigger yet. But Andrew and I happen to be sitting at the lovely Pillory Pub in the waterfront in Plymouth, Massachusetts last week. And we knew we were going to have Tony on. And we were really trying to figure out what we wanted to talk about. And Andrew and I were just, bullshitting and, having picklebacks and drinking trash cans. And we, all of a sudden, we're like, holy shit, In a Violent Nature is coming to Shudder this Friday. That actually turned out to not be true. It was coming to video on demand this past Friday, which I incorrectly told our friend Tony that it's coming to Shudder. So I'm sorry that you had to pay to watch this movie, my friend.
I was going to do it anyways, man.
it wasn't $20. It was like
no, it was like $7.
No,
That was
$7
more than reasonable. Yeah. But anyway, as soon as I texted Tony about this, he was like, I'm very fucking excited. I've been waiting to see this movie. Let's do it. And I was like, all right, let's fucking go. I'm fucking so excited. So pardon my lack of other language as opposed to cuss words. I guess that's what I'm doing tonight. So anyway, that's
watch
what we
your
do.
fucking language, Mike.
Fuck you, Tony. All right. All right. Before we go on, if you haven't heard of this movie, In a Violent Nature is a 2024 Canadian slasher film written and directed by Chris Nash and starring Rye Barrett, Andrea Pavlovich, and Lauren Marie Taylor. Described as a quote-unquote ambient slasher, which is a very interesting description, it follows a mute killer who is resurrected from his grave in the Ontario wilderness by a group of teenagers whom he then begins stalking and murdering. The events depicted are largely observed from the killer's perspective. This had a very limited theatrical release and made $4.2 million at the box office, which I will say, for a modest box office release, pretty good. Not too terrible. And this is available to rent video on demand right now, as we just mentioned, for about $7. So if you want to shell out $7, you can see this bad boy, or you can wait for it to come to Shudder at an undetermined date later this year. So, guys, In a Violent Nature, it's certainly a movie. It certainly is.
It's certainly violent, too.
Who would like to go first? Would anyone like to volunteer? Andrew. Beautiful.
I'm going to go very
talk
basic,
to us. Obviously. So, okay. If anyone hasn't seen this movie yet, if you're listening, we are going to go a little. So just give overall thoughts without spoiling, spoiler-free thoughts about the overall status of the movie and if you liked it or not. Go for it, buddy.
Overall thoughts. 2 thumbs way up. No, Kat's not here.
Thank you,
but
Kat. Yes.
No. Actually, this movie I really liked what they did with this movie. It was very different. It was very unique. Was it kind of bland and blah? Yeah, there's a lot of that. But there was some of the best, if not the best, death scenes I've ever seen in a movie. This is essentially like watching someone play a third-person role-player game, and every kill is basically a fatality scene from Mortal Kombat. Like that. Like the second and third kills were just so fucking violent and so good.
In a Violent Nature.
Yeah. And like the first 30 minutes, I was like, this is okay. And then it got really good and it really got going. And I also don't really know how much I like this movie. This could either be like at the end of the year, this could be like my 15th favorite movie, or this could be like in my top 5. I still don't know how I felt about it.
Okay.
It was good. Like the death scenes were great, but it was also kind of like bah.
Okay.
Bah. Yeah. I don't know.
So I'll say quickly, I agree with you there, because while I very thoroughly enjoyed watching this movie, it held my attention, kept me entertained, and if you're a fucking gore hound, this is a movie you need to see. There are definitely a few kills in here that are, at least one is an all-timer, which we will get to. I just wonder if, with today's society and the nature of this movie and the pacing of it, if this gets forgotten and ultimately is revisited as like YouTube clips in the future, which is sad because that is the attention span of a lot of people these days. But I really liked it. I had a lot of fun watching it, and I'm just wondering if I posted it when I watched it the other night on our Instagram story that we were watching it, and I had a lot of people message me and be like, "That movie sucked," and a lot of people being like, "That movie was really good." And so I feel like it's a divided audience. So yeah, I guess I don't know. I feel like it's up in the air as to how people feel about this, but I don't know. Tony, what about you?
Well, when I saw this, there was one thing I couldn't get out of my head. Is imagining, those Ghana movie posters, those like movie posters that they make now. They're really crude, where it's like Michael Myers is climbing down there's like Halloween, and then Michael Myers is climbing down a helicopter ladder, and he's got a sniper rifle. Like they're all
the
these
drawn ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like all I could get in my head was the Ghana movie poster of this would be Fire Marshal Bill in the fucking woods. Like that's like Fire Marshal Bill is fucking pissed is the name of this movie overseas.
Yeah. Smokey the Bear.
Yeah. It was, but honestly, remember the movie Doom with The Rock?
Oh yeah.
Doom was kind of the first one to do this, but stylistically, obviously, it was dramatically different. But it really felt like at times that I was playing the Gun Media Friday the 13th game from a couple of years ago, which was like open world, like GTA style. And I think it definitely was influenced by Friday the 13th. No doubt about that. It's as blatant a ripoff as it gets. But at the same time,
I know Matt feels the same way about that too. I'm sorry to interrupt you because I thought of Matt the whole time watching this movie. Sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. Like I watched it and I'm like, at the beginning, I was like, all right, I'm with this. And then as we went along to the end of the movie, it felt like it kind of got rid of its own identity at the end of the movie and turned into just a regular horror movie, because most of the scenes shot from that point on were from just as a normal horror film would be filmed. It kind of gave up on itself towards the end, but obviously the kills were fantastic. Like, I mean, what do you call that? Downward dog through my stomach.
Oh my
God. That was candy. That was like, oh, well played. And then how they dragged that out and she was rolling down that dirt hill. It was just the absence of music was what really made it effective for me. So I am as conflicted as it gets in this film. I think it got
3 for 3 conflicted.
Right, got it right in the money with some things, and then it's like it forgot who it was at the end. But I'm still liked it, which is odd enough. So
same. I definitely I have my reservations, as I mentioned, but I did definitely like it.
Well, it's because it was different. I liked it because it was different, and those death scenes were so good.
I appreciate that they just didn't try and make Scream 17.
Yeah, I'm all set with that. I'm good. I don't need that.
Any interesting new take on the slasher genre? I'm into, which I felt like this definitely was. So, Matt, I feel like aside from Kat when she's on, you are our resident slasher, like big time fan. So, What'd you think?
It's funny. I'm gonna try not to echo Tony as much as possible because we are very much traveling in the same lane. I think had I not known what this movie was and what I was getting into, like I knew it was going to be a lot of like following this guy around in the woods and like kind of like POV shots from behind him. And if I didn't know that, I think I would have been like, Jesus Christ, like this movie is fucking brutal, but not in the like it's brutal violently, but like brutal in the sense of just being like, oh man, like it's just like you're a lot of walking around. But I did know that, so I kind of was able to put that aside. And I agree with the point at the end where it kind of like you kind of grab onto this final girl, and like she's got nothing. She doesn't have a line. I don't think she's got a line of dialogue throughout the whole thing. Really, she kind of is just there and like still hanging on. And then like she's just talking with this lady at the end, and you're like, all right, cool. So like she doesn't really have any like she didn't have anything to fight for that you know about, but in the same breath, it's like I think that's kind of what they were going for. Is just like you're just getting this killer storming around. I really do like how it was portrayed. I love the way it starts. I love the whole curse thing, and then I really did enjoy the slow. Like I don't think it was a single shot, but there were a couple like long single shots that I thought were really cool. But the slow portrayal of him like coming out of the ground and this, that, and the other thing at the beginning. I thought that was cool, and it kind of set a tone.
That was really cool.
The kills are fantastic. They make up for a lot of the slowness that there is. I liked the no music thing. I agree with that as well. Again, like it's just like I liked it, but it's not like it wasn't anything totally crazy. I'm a big Friday the 13th guy, Tony. I don't know if you are.
Oh yes.
Friday the 13th. I love Sleepaway Camp. I love The Burning. Like anything like that. You give me a summer camp and there's a killer, I'm fucking locked in. So this had like it scratched the itch for sure. I was curious if we were going to see the dude's face, and we do in the middle of the movie, kind of randomly. But no. This was. It's not gonna sparkle with everybody for sure. But I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but it was cool. It was interesting. It wasn't too long. It kind of, for as kind of slow pace as it was, it still kind of went by pretty quick for its 94-minute runtime.
Yeah, so I actually thought it moved despite like the slow pacing of like the shots and stuff. I think it actually moved pretty quickly. It didn't feel like a long hour and a half for me, personally. And I picked up on the no music thing as well. And I guess, sorry, what's his name? Chris Nash, I believe. Let's see. Hold on. Chris Nash, who was the director.
He's Canadian. He must be related to Steve Nash.
He's must be related
Steve
to
Nash.
Steve Nash. Nash and Canadian, absolutely. So he basically, he said like in interviews that he wanted this to be shot and he wanted it to feel like it was a nature documentary almost. And when you hear that, I feel like that puts it into a different context, because he said he wanted it to basically feel like the whole time that the killer's walking around, he wanted to lull you into like a false sense of security, and then have like a bear attack come out of left field, which, okay, I get, but at the same time, you're also following the killer the entire time.
You know what's going to happen.
So you know like who he's creeping up on. Like there were certain scenes where, I mean, hold on, before we continue, is that really like, I that's probably about as far as we can go without spoiling this movie, right, guys?
Oh, I feel like
That's
we already
fair.
spoiled it.
Maybe a little bit. But I mean, like, there's a killer, he's going to kill some people, and it's going to be fucking gory as shit. So I don't know.
The plot's basic as fuck, so that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I mean, I would hesitate to even say that this is the type of movie that can be spoiled.
It doesn't even have a plot. The plot's like he's looking for his gold chain.
Yeah,
because he's
now it's spoiled.
Sorry. Well, there's the plot. Damn it, I fucked up. I'll kill anyone. You took my chain. What the fuck, Andrew?
Can I just circle back to the no music thing for a second?
No. What's that?
Can I just circle back to the no music thing for 1 second?
Of course.
So you do know how much money it costs to get music licenses for films, right?
I mean, I'm aware it's probably very expensive, but I would be
It's-
lying through my teeth if I told you I knew how much.
Depending on who you're getting it from, it could be anywhere from 1/10 of your whole film's budget to 1/4 of your film's budget, depending on what you're making. It's insane the amount of money you have to pay. So knowing Shudder and knowing how cheap that they are, they must have been doing backflips when he approached them with this, being like, "Oh yeah, there's no music in it at all." So they must have been
That
like,
makes
"Oh,
sense.
we'll make it."
What if you
Green
use
light.
animal noises where they're screaming in the background? That might be interesting. Cheaper, right?
Royalty free. I just stood outside with a microphone in my hand.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the end of that movie when the sounds that are just screams the whole time. It's awful.
Kind of horrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Kind of
seems
horrifying.
it gets kind of scary at the end, and then they really just blow it. Like, kill her, kill all of them. Like, why are they just dying at the end? I want everyone to die in this movie. I do. This is one of those movies I expect. Like, we're watching it through the serial killer's view. I want to see them die.
Well, and I think that kind of ties back into like what I was saying, right? So like, I just wonder if there's going to be any redeeming qualities of this movie that people remember a couple years from now, right? Aside from the kills, like obviously the characters are written very
I mean, it was
thinly,
shot differently.
Like, so yes, that's what I mean. So like
It's almost a
style,
found footage, but it's not.
Yeah, it kind of almost
It's
is.
like a found freak footage. You're like,
Found
oh,
freak footage.
yeah.
Yep. If somebody were found following this
Yeah,
particular
just
killer,
like that was the
which would be
freak that was
weird,
found
like
him.
a weird thing to do. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's like an easy criticism of this film is that, like, you know, okay, cool. It's a bunch of really good kills. The characters are very thin. The writing is very thin, and it's just basically a showcase for gore. And but I mean,
But it nails it.
It does nail those aspects. I don't particularly feel that way. I feel like I would definitely watch this movie again. I thought the choice of weapons for the killer to carry around were very good. I thought the mask was very different and very good.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, I guess that those particular things I really enjoyed. What do you guys think of the mask?
Well, they introduced
Sure.
logic.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know, it all made sense. It all the limited dialogue that they had in this film, especially that whole Friday the 13th Part 2 ripoff scene around the campfire, the exposition that they provided in that, it didn't come across as cheesy or hokey and cutting to the chase of the plot. Like, okay, we knew it was going to happen, but the way it was done was like, okay, I see you're hitting all the trappings that I like, but at the same time, it doesn't feel forced. So, okay, give me the exposition on John. What's his name? Johnny,
I think.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
yeah, Johnny, the special needs boy who, like, it's like the burn. And Matt, you hit it on the head, like the burning and stuff like that. It seems like all of those movies were woven into this one, like all of them.
I even got a
And-
little bit of Hatchet with some of the way the kills were. They were super like when he would kill people, he'd sneak up on them, and then it's just like just unrelenting, boom, quick blood, like just, you know what I mean? Kind of, you got that Victor Crowley kind of unleashing rage. So
Yeah, actually, while we're on that, there was one kill that I actually laughed out loud, which was like towards the end, and Johnny's
I know.
standing there, and there's all of a sudden a guy that pops up, like one of the guys pops
This
up
is the
right
one I
behind him.
laughed.
What are we doing?
It's like, turn around, you mother! He all of a sudden turns, like, splits his head in half in about a half a second, and I laughed out loud so hard.
Well, the best part about that scene was the previous dialogue to that scene. I'm going to distract him real quick so you can get away, and then he just pops up behind him,
Fucking
screams
died.
in
It
his
was
face.
so
and gets,
great.
yeah, like,
of all the ways to distract him, get as
Yeah,
close to him as possible,
I'm gonna
right?
stand right behind you.
Hey,
and scare you.
motherfucker! Look at me, motherfucker!
yeah, he was distracted. I mean, you got
half
about
of this
2.5
movie-
minutes
half
of him
this movie,
hitting
though,
him
is
with an
basically
axe.
like these people have no self-awareness. There's a murderer stomping on leaves 7 feet behind you, and you're like, I have no idea what's going on. What are you? And you're like, there's someone murdering people, and you're not even paying attention. Someone's coming up behind you, stomping in the leaves, and you have no clue. Fucking terrible. Fucking pull it together.
That's a slasher trope, brother.
Yeah, I know, but it's annoying. That's a no good point for me. I don't like
mean,
flashes.
They
Go
took
ahead.
a lot of big bites off the bone with this when it came to their kills. There was like no in between. It was just, here we go. It's like finishing move in pro wrestling after finishing move in pro wrestling. It's
Yeah.
like, we're not going to finesse you. We're just going to cut to the kill and that's it. So by doing that, they left a lot of time for silence in the film. Like even just overhearing a conversation in the distance, I can see sound design being that of a nature film. But my God, man, there was the one part I really liked was when he was coming upon them first leaving the cabin with the ATV.
Mhm.
That whole sequence of him creating a diversion and walking around the side of the house to come around back when he put the shotgun in the car horn.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
And like we saw logic from his first person point of view that I don't think we've ever seen in a horror movie before. Like, all right, here's how I'm setting up this. I'm walking around the side of the house, knowing he's going to come out the front, and then I'm going to come up behind him. Like you literally developed the logic with the character in their method. And I thought that was really well done. And then he didn't notice the kid caught him out of the side of the window as he was walking around when he got shot. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
That whole scene, that was a one take, I believe.
There was
I
a
thought
handful of those too.
Yeah, I thought that was probably, in my opinion, my favorite first person perspective shot in the whole film.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I also think one of the better scenes too in this movie, which leads to the supernatural effect of this character, is when he goes into the lake and they're at the other side swimming. The two girls, and
that
he
was
just
great.
walks from one end to the other end of the lake. You're like, oh, he's not
And it
swimming. He's
takes
just walking
forever.
Yeah, that's such a good scene because it's so different. Like you know that they have the ability to do these type of slasher killers, but you never
Yeah.
actually see them do it, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was definitely cool. I really appreciated that scene a lot because I thought I was like wondering what was going to happen. I thought he was going to like pop up out of the water and just like, like a Jason type thing, but that didn't happen. It was also like for this movie, very subdued.
Well, they had like no kill, very big kill, no kill, very big kill. Like they rotated them kind of.
Like the first guy that gets killed, you see out of focus.
See,
face
if
a
they
little.
stuck with that, I would have been pumped too. It's
Yeah.
like weird. It's like,
That was cool. Like the guy that he chased out of the house that gets his leg caught in the bear trap, and
Yeah.
then it just basically shows
His
him putting
bloody
his hand in the guy's face and then
Yeah.
his bloody hand afterwards. Like that was cool.
Well,
thought
I
that was,
think
like,
what they did was a good way of like leading you in, like, oh, because after that I was like, oh, we're not going to see shit. They're not going to do anything. And then they were like, oh, we're going to fucking railroad
not
you.
the case.
Yeah, they did a good job of setting it up.
So a couple things I want to circle back to here real quick. First, a comment. And sorry, Tony. You mentioned Friday the 13th Part 2. Did you notice who the woman driver that picks up Chris, the final girl, was?
I couldn't help it because I've met her and she's an absolute sweetheart. Yeah, I did. At the very end, I saw that it was Lauren Marie Taylor, and I was like, all right, are they going to go full Friday the 13th with this ending and have it be like Jason's mom or something? But they really kiboshed that real quick. And that was honestly, that drive with the silence in the drive and letting it ride out, I thought was great too at the end.
I was waiting for her to like not stop when the girl wanted her to stop, and like she's got to jump. You know what I mean? Just the exact same thing. Like you're getting that first Friday the 13th. What's her name? Annie.
Yep.
That gets
Annie and
killed in
Pamela
the
dynamic.
flash. Yeah.
I think that particular scene with Lauren Marie Taylor and the final girl, I don't know her name. I apologize. I don't mean to disrespect her. Might have been the most tense I was the entire time watching the movie was when she was like putting a tourniquet on her leg and you were just waiting for Johnny to come out of the woods. I was just like, holy fuck, like he's not going to come really at all. Kind of a spoiler alert for the end, I guess, but we're in spoiler territory, so not even a big deal. But yeah, I was kind of waiting for that to happen, and it just didn't happen, which I kind of also respected in a way, but I don't know.
Well, because you were tense for like the last 5 minutes of that movie. Like they did exactly what they wanted to do. They already got their response.
Yep.
So the fact that they just didn't give you what you wanted is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. didn't cater to
No.
the fanboys, the horror fanboys.
Well, that's what I thought they were going to go for, like seeing the whole first person perspective of all of the boring drawn out parts, because like you said, the other films, guys will watch them and they're like, yeah, kill, yeah, grotesque kill, just surprise out of nowhere. This was the anti horror trope film, and I think that's why I'm a little bit disappointed, because at the ending was great. Everything else leading up to like the third act was great, and then they just sold it out, went away from it, and then they come back at the end to it, like the anti-trope. Like it just felt like they could have done the third act better, in my opinion. That's all.
Yeah, there was no last jump or anything like that. Like, yeah, no, I completely agree.
See, it's so funny because I had never even considered that. I mean, the ending was okay, but I like hearing these perspectives on it. I completely agree. So I feel like I'm thinking about that now.
I'm coming fresh off of my yearly Friday the 13th.
He should have came out of the woods and killed the driver while she was suturing her leg or whatever the fuck she was doing, and then she has to like run away.
Would have been awesome. Yeah.
It would have felt like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a way, just this chaos at the end.
It's what it needed, though.
Especially she's getting picked up by a random truck driver, like absolutely.
Because it was so good, but it was lacking this one crucial thing, and that's what I think it was like. It's.
How did you guys feel about like the story with the killer? Did you guys feel like it was enough? Was it too much? Was it too little? Like, what do you guys think about
it? It
that?
was basic and just what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on par with what I'd expect from this kind of movie.
I kind of agree. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, the empathetic big monster. It all goes back to Frankenstein, my man. It all goes back to the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
Like the sympathetic bad guy in the film. Like, dude was just created out of a really shitty situation, like I felt for the character. And then I'm like, well, we've already seen this before and it's playing out the same way.
I will say though, that I did appreciate the way that they brought that character in. Like he basically woke up because they stole his fucking gold fucking necklace.
His pendant, yeah.
His mom's pendant. And then he just happens to have this weird like breathe hole through the fucking ground, and he wakes up and it's just coming at him.
Yeah.
So that was cool, like that they showed that, because that's like how most of these stories start, but they never actually show you that.
Right.
So, at least I appreciate them for they knew what they were from the beginning, and whether they finished it, that's up to interpretation. But they did know what they were doing.
Would you guys have been more or less interested in the movie, or would you have appreciated more or less, I should say, if they had not shown his face?
No, you got to show his face.
I thought so too. I was waiting to see it, and they showed it. And if they hadn't, I would have thought it was kind of bullshit, to be honest.
But if you think about it, it was again that was actually going against the trope as well, because usually the reveal is done in the heat of attack or something like that at the end. And meanwhile, this was him in his most innocent childhood moment. Like you literally saw that this monster is a forever child who, when they see a toy, will play with it, because that's how he was lured up there. I thought that was well done, because it was actually done from a moment of actual child innocence where he took his mask off. Like there's so many deep elements to this film that I think kind of get glossed over.
I think so. That it reminded me of, again, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you have that scene where Leatherface is in the kitchen. He's kind of like smashing himself in the head a little bit. And after so many viewings, this is my favorite horror movie of all time, Texas Chainsaw, the original. You realize that this guy is just this big, huge, mentally challenged guy, basically, and that he's just protecting his house. And it really, when you get that kind of perspective on that story, it switches the entire dynamic of what that movie really is. But it also adds a lot more of a frightening situation to his character, because there's no reasoning. He's completely unhinged, out of control. He's gonna come at you. He's huge. So, but that's what that reminded me of, was just like that kind of like, you get that like fearful innocence of being like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and so I agree. Yeah. Like just seeing him with the toy car, which he fucking just crushes in his hand. And you're like, okay, there's that brute, like Jason Voorhees kind of like strength that, you know what I mean? So it just, that it was I think it was a crucial scene to add to his power, and just how, and you see him dragging these people around by these hooks like they're fucking nothing. Like, it's crazy.
Or I was gonna say when he's playing with the keychain too. That was another scene like that where it's just like kind of brings it back home that he's just like, okay, he's a fish out of water. Somebody that is, probably confused, but very violent in a violent nature, if you will.
Yeah.
So guys, are there any films that you think reminded you of this a little bit in terms of like the slow nature and how patient it made you be as a viewer? Because there was one that I thought of.
What do you
I'll
think?
go.
Yeah.
So basically, this has been compared a lot to the films of Gus Van Sant. So if you've seen Good Will Hunting, he directed that. He's directed a bunch of other stuff, but there's one film that I feel like a lot of people have not seen. It's a very haunting, very strange, very dark film. It's called Elephant. Anyone seen that? Okay.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen
Elephant Man.
So no, very different movie. So this movie Elephant came out.
Not William Hurt You.
Nope, not William. I Will Hurt You. It's so basically Elephant it came out in 2003. I remember I saw it. I was in college when I saw it, and this is a thinly veiled, fake true story retelling of the Columbine massacre.
I did see this.
Yep. And it is shot very similarly, where the entire time it is following the protagonists from behind. And it's a very
antagonist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Both.
Yeah.
Protagonist and antagonist. It switches from time to time. So it's very fucked up. It's a very depressing movie to watch. And it's literally like everything that happened at the Columbine shooting, it's there. So like whatever. Read about it if you want to learn about it. But this reminded me of that movie for sure. And I guess apparently a lot of other people have been saying that Gus Van Sant's Jerry and Last Days. Last Days is the Kurt Cobain movie that he did. Very, very similarly shot. So this has been compared to that a lot. Have you guys seen either of those movies?
No.
Okay. Watch Elephant if you're feeling particularly depressed and you want to watch a movie about a school shooting.
I can watch that.
Thanks for ruining my night. Appreciate it.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Oh, we're all too serious. Oh, my God.
Pearl clutches for everyone. You get a pearl clutch. I get a pearl clutch.
Think of the children. All right, guys. Why don't we now talk about... I can't believe we've gone this long without talking about that kill. Let's talk about it. Let's taco about it. So it's funny. Me and Andrew and Matt have a group text going, and we talk a lot about horror stuff. And when Matt started watching this movie the night before I did, Andrew texted at one point saying, because Matt was like, I just started watching In a Violent Nature. Andrew was like, if you're at the part that I think you're at, you're probably right there.
I was timing out. I was like, it's 41 minutes in. I'm like, he's fucking right there. Now I was looking at his text time, and I was literally because that kill was so good that I was like, I can't wait till we get to that kill.
So
yeah, it was impressive.
We'll talk about it. So basically, the killer walks up on this girl doing yoga on the edge of a cliff. And she sees the killer and is terrified, as one would be. And she determines that she's not really willing to jump off said cliff. Anyway.
Guess their yoga was for naught.
Killer walks up and punches his hand through her torso.
Yep, that happens.
Big hole in her torso.
Big old hole.
And then he proceeds to take his hook with a chain on it and stick it up into her head. And then he proceeds to pull said hook on a chain through her body until her neck very slowly breaks into itself and her head pulls through the opened, sucking abdomen wound in her body. And then he kicks her down this cliff.
You said everything that happened, and you still don't actually know what happened unless you saw it. It is something that you can't explain.
It needs to be seen.
It needs to be seen. It needs to be
really
seen multiple times. I watched the scene like 3 times after it happened. Right after, I was like, "This is disgusting," and then I watched it again and again. I was like, "Holy shit! Like this is the most fucked up scene I've seen." Like that was pretty fucked.
It was awesome.
It was great.
The one part that got me was when he is yanking the chain and breaking her neck, and her little piece of vertebrae pops up through her skin but doesn't break the skin. I was like, oh god, oh my god, oh no. It was so gross. I was so fucking gross.
This is what made me think it was a Mortal Kombat like finishing.
Dude, that is honestly, I think you describing it as Mortal Kombat fatalities, that's what this movie is. Like there are some missed opportunities here, but that kill is not one of them.
And the kill before it is pretty good too at 29 minutes in.
Yeah.
Pretty good kill.
Is that the one with the guy against the tree?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then he's dragging that guy's body.
That was a very good.
And he throws his head through the door.
Let's stick with the yoga kill. Matt, you go. Tony, you go after that.
Yeah, no, this was intense. This was so in terms, like, because I had said this has got to be in terms, if I'm thinking of Friday the 13th, I'm thinking of The Burning, I'm thinking of Sleepaway Camp. Hatchet's got some pretty good kills too, but this was definitely up there in terms of creativity and just sheerly like abhorrent violence. The only thing it comes close to is like the Terrifier 2. You get that crazy bedroom scene, which that even in itself is like a different animal too, because it's just so drawn out and over the top. But this was a swift, like, this was all one motion. Like he planned, like this is what he was gonna do no matter what. And then you just see as it kept on unwinding. Literally, I was like, I had to ask my wife the next day. I'm like, could you hear me like laughing in the living room? Like, no.
I thought I was gonna wake my kid up. Like that was to keep going, but I know where you're at on that.
Yeah, just like you're just that like shocked, like oh my god, dude, and it just keeps pulling through. And like once her head like finally comes through the back, I was like, I had to stop my hands from like clapping. And he just kicks her over. So it was just so creative and violent and great. The gore in this movie is very good. I do like I don't like when they cheap out on the gore. If you're gonna do it, like even if it's unrealistic, I don't care. Like give me all the blood you can give me, just because like that's what you need. This kind of movie needs to be that bloody. Tony, go ahead. What did you? I think you have the same.
I had to say. See. All we heard about this movie was two things in advance, and tell me if I'm wrong. We heard that it's from the killer's perspective, and you do a lot of walking with him. And 2, this is really awesome yoga kill, and you didn't get any like that was what I heard before this. I'm like, all right, so I knew it was coming, and exactly all of the beats that you just hit. Like I'm watching this at midnight Saturday night. The baby's in bed, my wife's in bed. I'm watching this, and I'm waiting for. I'm just sitting back stoically. I'm like, all right, here's clearly the kill. And then he goes through her stomach. I'm like, okay. He puts the hook in her head. I'm like, okay. And then I saw him start threading the chain, and that's when I let out a guffaw. I was like, ah! I'm like, all right, I see where this is going now. I'm like, now I'm in. And then when he finally completed the act, I let out one more laugh, and then I'm like, this is fantastic. I'm like, all right, now I know what everybody was talking about. Bravo.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I watched that. No, like I said, I was like, I have to watch this again. That was so well done. They fucking killed. It was so disgusting, but you fucking killed.
I mean, I don't think this is going to be like, okay.
That's 10, a top 20
10,
kill.
No. Well, I would say top 10 movie of the year, maybe. Top kill of the year.
Easily number one.
Has to be. I mean, all-time kill.
Dude, that's like a top 10 all-time kill.
All time.
Okay, top 5 maybe.
what was a better kill? That yoga kill or getting sawed in half in Terrifier 1?
Oh,
I'd say
mean-
this kill because it was more lighthearted. Like that other kill was so grimy
Gross.
and just bad.
It felt like
Yeah.
a reward. It felt like a reward for
We
all of the
deserved- we
patience
deserved
you've
this.
had. And here you go. One of the most creative kills that I've seen in years, because we're a cynical and jaded lot. We've seen everything in horror, right? Like, what else can they even possibly do? And then they did that. And I'm like, all right, bravo, man. You got a lot. You don't have a lot of options anymore on how to kill someone. And people go, oh, because half the time you're like, saw that. This, bravo. Just creativity, a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, at this point, you're just seeing who can make it look the realest between the easier kills.
Which, by the way, the Terrifier sawed in half kill. Way sillier.
It is solid, but that movie is
than
nonstop
the,
anyway.
Yeah.
But
the bone tomahawk
Bone
kill,
tomahawk
which
kill
is
is
also
wild.
very similar to that, is way
that's
fucking
because there's
worse.
groin splitting. I can't with that.
Ooh, oh, a man with a groin
was-
split.
Everybody feels it.
This is
Like,
even allowed in
like
this
Ashley
conversation.
Schaefer,
No,
right in
no,
their
no,
plums.
I'm good with passing on that. I'm good with
Yeah,
passing
we don't
on
need to
that.
talk about that.
That's a gut splitter.
Yeah. Oh God.
I do want to talk about
Kurt Russell, though.
one other kill. I did like. I'm a sucker for like long shots. I think that they're an
Yeah.
impressive thing to do in a movie. I'm a Tarantino fan. I'm a Gaspar Noé fan.
All those film school jerk off shots.
Yeah, True Detective season 1 has a really good one. Always Sunny has done it. But the only reason it was impressive to me was because I was thinking of the shot when he brings the guy into that room with that the log cutter, and it's very long, it's very slow. And to me, the thing that was cool about the log cutting thing was that you don't have any break for like effect. So he takes the arm off and then he comes back around, he takes the head off. The guy's breathing, like he's alive, he's subdued, but he takes the head off. And the impressive thing was like, okay, where's the effect? Where's the dummy? Where, you know what I mean? Like that's why I was like, this is fucking cool. And I was like keeping my eyes peeled to the screen. I'm like looking for any sort of like continuity, like change in like shot. And it was just 100% butter smooth. And I was like, that was cool. I think that's gonna go under the radar because the yoga kill is so fucking wild. But the wood splitter kill was still pretty fucking rad too. And that came late, so it kind of like you kind of go down for a little bit, and it brings you back to that. You're like, all right, okay, we're still in it. We still got some cool shit going on.
Counterpoint, if I may.
Yep.
Obviously, the guy had his spine broken, so he couldn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Couldn't they have done something cooler than just having him saw part of the guy's arm off and then his head? I mean, obviously the head was cool. I thought for sure that guy was getting split right down the middle of his body.
That's what I thought too. I thought of South Park when the wood shop teacher goes to get on the thing to kill himself, and he goes foot first, and he gets back up and he's like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" He's like, "What was I thinking? That would hurt like hell." That's what I thought was going to happen too. I'm like, we're going to see this dude get fucking just slowly split into two pieces the long way, the Twinkie way.
Yeah,
so
somebody messaged me on Instagram about it, like being like, I thought that would have been way better, and I was like, you know what? They probably could have done something way more gruesome with that.
I think maybe they were afraid of jumping on Terrifier.
That's probably
maybe,
true.
yeah.
I
just was impressed with that.
Everybody's doing that. See now again in how there's one. I feel two very distinct ways about this scene. One is exactly what you said, Matt, when it came to that scene being essentially one take. And also, Mike, now that you bring it up, I agree. But I think ultimately there's one thing that could have made that scene infinitely better. It would have been staying true to the original cinematography of this in the method that you could view dragging him into that shed, into the method of being from his, it was this one still camera behind the wood chipper.
Yeah.
It could have taken on more of his perspective. And I feel like a little bit was lost there.
The killer's perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
But I don't know. At the same time, I think it's like a double-edged sword
Yeah.
because you have that, but then you lose that. Like you're in a clear view of what he's doing, and that's where I was saying like that's where it gets impressive. I'm like, where's the like? Obviously, it had to have been a dummy just the whole time. That I'm like, that's a fucking good prop then.
So I know exactly where it got cut. And I think we all do, because he had to come back around and get in front of that camera briefly to operate the machine.
Yeah.
And right then and there, I was like, let's see the transition to the dummy. And it was like, honestly, I was impressed at how accurate it was looking.
It's still blinking too.
Yes. Yeah. So
I love having a filmmaker mind on this podcast. It's great.
Well, you just look for whenever you have a millisecond of black is your opportunity.
Love it. Gentlemen, what else can we really talk about here with this movie? Are there any kills we have that have gone unmentioned? Anything else that you guys want to talk about the story? Anything else like that before we jump into some other stuff and sign off? Matthew?
Yeah, no, I think we're cool. Like I touched upon it when I did my first thoughts. I loved the opening. I loved him coming out of the ground. I love that you don't really see it, but you hear it. And it's like there's something so, I think, naturally frightening about a dead body climbing out of the dirt. I don't know. It shakes me to my fucking core because it's just never ever supposed to happen. So I think that kind of, it gave me kind of like a sent a chill up my spine immediately because the only thing I ever think about is fucking Pet Sematary, dude. Like with Gage coming out and that reading that book especially is like the fact that like a toddler fucking climbed out of the ground. It's just like, ugh, dude.
Yeah.
Yucky, dude.
The worst. Not scary, obviously. It also reminded me of like Thriller a little bit. The Thriller music video. It's like, let's go. Fuck yeah. Come out of the ground, boy. Hey, big boy. Let's go. All right. Why don't we all right. Obviously, we're midway through the year. I think this is probably shaping up to be one of the stronger horror movie years in recent memory. We said that about 2022 on our podcast. I think this summer for horror this year is going to be absolutely unbelievable, as well as the fall. And even with Nosferatu, the remake coming out in December, throughout the rest of the year. With that being said, I have a list here, gentlemen, in front of me, of the 2024 horror movies that have come out so far. So I would just ask, believe me, I know that we all have children here, except for Andrew, who stepped out to go relieve himself. We may not have seen all of these. I would just say, if you have seen it, did you like it, and was it better than In a Violent Nature? I'll go first with A Quiet Place Day One, which is a very new release and is doing very well in the box office, very well critically. I haven't seen it. Anyone else?
No.
Nope.
Fair enough. Guys, Abigail.
I have to see that one. Yeah, no, I actually want to see it.
I have to see it.
Yeah, same. Okay, fair enough. Arcadian, which is a Nicolas Cage monster movie that came out earlier this year. Yay or nay?
Not yet.
Nay,
Okay.
but he's really riding that into the ground, right?
Yeah, he really is. All right, Matt, one I know you saw. So here we go. Somebody can talk about a horror movie they saw this year. Destroy All Neighbors.
I liked this better than Destroy All Neighbors. Destroy All Neighbors is a lot of fun.
I figured.
But it's a little too kooky for me. In terms of, I like a movie. I like a good horror comedy, but it's never gonna, unless you're Shaun of the Dead, you're never gonna like hit my top 10.
Fair. Tony, I know you saw this because you mentioned it. Matt, I know you saw this. I still have not seen it. Exuma on Shudder.
Oof.
Oh no, I haven't watched this yet.
Guys, that's my
I
number
thought you
one.
did.
No, not yet.
That's my number one movie of the year.
My buddy said the same thing. He said this is the best horror movie that's going to come out this year. I don't give a shit about anything else. Wow, okay.
Unbelievably good. And from a person who has spent time in South Korea, this film was amazing. Just absolutely amazing.
other South Korean horror movies that you like too?
I wish I could say I was more versed on it, but I can't.
Dude, I can get you a good list. I own a handful of them. So
Send them my way, my friend.
they're all good.
I'm finally calling this year. It's kind of like my back to basics year
Mhm.
because I've been so just spread thin working that I haven't had a chance to do the one thing that every horror fan wants to do is be a horror fan. You
Just
know,
watch the movies. Yeah.
just watch them.
Have you seen Train to Busan?
Of course,
Okay.
masterful.
Yeah. At least I was going to say, if you haven't, at least get the tissues ready.
I haven't seen Parasite yet.
Parasite's fantastic.
I heard it's amazing. I got to watch that.
It's not completely horror, but it's enough. But that movie is excellent. I watch that movie probably twice a year.
Private message me all of those, buddy. I need to.
Definitely.
I need to do it. I'm craving it. That and bulgogi. That's all I want right now.
I love it. Love it. Bulgogi's good stuff. Tony, next time you come down to Plymouth, we got to go to Kogi.
Yeah, Kogi rocks.
Great Korean.
You don't have to threaten me with a good time.
Shout out to you.
I never did, my friend. All right, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. We already talked about. Nobody's seen it. I feel like with Godzilla -1 coming out last year, all the other Godzilla movies are such a fucking joke because Godzilla -1 was so incredible.
Yeah.
Tony, I see your hand raised. You really like that, but safe to say, Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, not as good. Tony,
Different animal altogether.
You seen them both?
I saw them both, and I didn't think that I would enjoy Godzilla X Kong as much as I did. It felt like, you know how movies are trying to be 80s movies?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they absolutely shit the bed on the effort. It's like, this is too contrived. This movie is a canon film at its heart. Like, it has the trappings in all the right ways of an 80s action movie, and I was there for it at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I had fun.
The one-liners.
I had fun, the timing, the beats, everything. I'm like, I'm watching a canon film right now, and I'm in. And it was fun because trying to see Kong rationalize at one point with Godzilla being like, yo, bro, I'm on the same team was great. It was great. I loved it. It was like a buddy cop film in all the bad ways.
Matt, I know you've seen Infested on Shudder, correct?
Yep.
This is directed by the guy who's also going to be helming the new Evil Dead movie, correct?
Correct.
Yep. I still haven't seen it yet. You liked it, right?
Yeah, I did. This is a good little spider flick. It was it's a different movie, man. It's kind of hard to compare the two.
Okay.
But I think it's gonna fall just short of this one because I'll take a slasher over and you know what? The thing that fucked up Infested for me was the CGI.
Okay.
It was very CGI heavy. Which I don't know, dude. Like, you can have every excuse in the book. Arachnophobia fucking did it. They had practical effects. Those spiders were fucking creepy. I won't watch that movie.
Love that movie.
Like,
love
I can't. I don't think I can watch that movie anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Tone, did you see Infested yet?
No, but to echo what Matt said, a couple of my friends have, and they enjoyed it. And everything but the CGI. So it's definitely like the first film that Shudder recommends to me every time I turn it on. So I'm going to give it a shot.
Same. I just got to find the time of the day. Most of these, I just need to find the time of the day. In the day, excuse me. One that I am dying to see, and Matt, I don't know if you have. Tony, you may have. I saw the TV Glow.
no, not yet.
No.
My buddy watched it and said it's the most A24 movie he's ever seen.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the list then.
But he loves A24. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
Speaking of the absolute opposite of A24, let's go to Blumhouse. Imaginary. Anyone? Bueller?
No.
No thanks.
That might be
All
a
right.
no watch for me.
Matthew. Immaculate.
Yeah,
Speaking of Sydney Sweeney, but it's also the name of the movie.
This is Above and a Violent Nature. This is my number 3 so far of the year.
Okay. Tony, you seen this one yet?
No, then if it's that high in your list, I will definitely give it a shot. I
It's
have
not
heard
just
things
'cause-
about it.
It's not just because of Sydney Sweeney. It is a very
She
good.
is
I like a
immaculate,
good
bro.
blasphemous story. So
I guess she is, by all means, from what I heard, did a great job in this. So I'm looking forward to it.
if you hadn't watched
Incredibly talented.
the first Omen yet, if you get the time, just do a double feature with the two.
Perfect.
Okay, fair enough. Guys, my personal number one for the year is Late Night with the Devil.
That's where I'm
Matt-
sitting as well. Yeah.
Yep. Tony, have you seen this yet?
Yes, I did, and I saw it the night it was released, and I'm going to edge out Exhumed over that
Okay.
just a bit, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. It was a unique concept.
Oh, I loved it. I loved
It was a
everything
lot of
about it.
fun.
Yeah. Andrew, who is now no longer afraid of Otis
Well, he
eating
was
him.
screaming.
I know he was. He was hard. Andrew, Late Night with the Devil or In a Violent Nature?
Late Night with the Devil.
Okay.
20
same.
times out of 20,000 times.
Same. Anyone seen Lisa Frankenstein?
No, not yet.
Nope.
Nope. That also came out this year. That's a movie. Anyone seen Night Swim? Speaking of Bumhouse. Nope.
No.
I haven't.
Talking about stop motion yet?
Nope. That's coming up. Next, actually. Stop motion. Stop motion
Yeah.
or In a Violent
This-
Nature.
That's going to
I have this just above In a Violent Nature right now.
Okay.
I can
Agreed.
appreciate some good stop motion animation. It's a pretty
Oh,
fucking creepy movie.
That movie's very creepy. There's a lot.
Stop motion, by the way, also on Shudder right now.
Yes,
Tone, seen it?
Have it? No, I haven't.
that's a good one.
Nope.
It's violent
Alright.
as fuck.
How about Tarot? Anyone seen that?
I haven't.
Tear it.
Tarot. Yep, that also came out.
Exuma?
Anyone see The Exorcism, not The Exorcist, with
I didn't know that was-
Russell Crowe?
I haven't seen that. I can't wait to see that though.
I have not.
Is that in
Crowe
theaters?
making a late career
Russell
move?
Chris is
on
he's turning into
exorcism
like,
movies.
who's he turning into? Nicolas Cage? Yeah, same guy.
Is that in theaters?
It is,
Okay, I was gonna say I didn't even know it was out.
dude. Like, what are you doing, bro? You're making a movie called The Exorcism. That's not The Exorcist.
Like, you love Nicolas Cage. You can't besmirch him. for that.
I understand. Yeah, you're
No
you're
besmirching. No besmirching.
All right, Matt, I know you can talk about The First Omen. Has anybody else seen it besides Matthew? Nope. Tony? No.
Nope.
Andrew? No. Matt? The First Omen or In a Violent Nature?
First Omen. This is number 2 on my list so far. This goes even above, just above Immaculate. They're very similar movies, but The First Omen, what it does completely perfectly is it segues directly into moments before the original Omen starts, and that's very fucking cool.
Okay. Cool. All right. Has anybody seen The Strangers Chapter 1 or The Watchers? The Watchers, obviously directed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
No.
It's a negative on both, Daffy.
Take your silence as a negative. All right. So, by the
The
way,
coffee table is the only other one I have.
Oh, the coffee table. Yeah, I forgot about
I
that
saw
one.
that too. That movie smells.
Coffee table or In a
Misery.
Violent Nature, Matt?
I put this just above the coffee table.
Andrew?
I put this miles above the coffee table.
You fucking hated it. I
That movie
understand.
sucks. I didn't like that movie at all.
Guys, by the way,
Misery.
look at the box office if anyone cares about this. Quiet Place Day 1 is the top grossing horror movie of the year so far.
Wow.
As
Came out,
expected.
came out June 28th, has made $57.3 million.
Did you guys already talk about Exuma?
Already did. Yes.
Yeah.
Give your
That's
thoughts
good
on next
for-
movie.
it's-
Otis tried
that's-
to eat you.
that's-
Yeah.
He did. I opened
I
the door and he
know.
came
I
screaming
know.
in
I
my
heard.
face.
We all heard.
Exuma is in my top 5 already. It
Yeah.
could be.
I'm
top
gonna be
5.
I'm after we're done here, I'm gonna finish the second half of The Devil's Bath, which is on Shudder right now, and that's a 24 release. It's I can't think, it's a foreign movie. It's off the top of my head. I don't know, but the first half is pretty definitely a folk horror movie. Opens with quite a brutal kill. So I'll leave it at that. But so far, so good. It's a long movie. It's 2 hours. But I'm gonna finish that up tonight. I think that's gonna, if it keeps going the way it's going, that should earn a rightful place in my top 10 if nothing else really comes out and fucking nails it.
Okay. Fair.
The good thing is we still have long legs.
We still have Long Legs and Alien Romulus and
Maxine.
a bunch of
Nosferatu.
Maxine, Nosferatu. We still have Cuckoo, a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, it's all coming. It's all coming. But
Just
so
looked
far,
at Just looked
Go
at A
ahead.
Quiet Place day one. Their budget on that was only 17 million, and looks like they've made 67.5 so far.
insane.
That,
17, huh?
Yeah, that's
Far and
that's,
away,
not
far
bad.
and away the biggest movie of the year, box office wise, which obviously doesn't mean quality, but
Yeah, I mean, and they're just looking to give consumable candy out at this point, with those big name franchise. But for horror in general, anytime that you can bring in that much, it's just
Good
keeps
for the brand.
Bingo.
let me rifle through the top 10 here real quick, guys, and then we'll sign off. So Quiet Place day one, far and away the most profitable movie of the year, or the most at the box office. The Strangers Chapter 1, which by the way is not Chapter 1. The Strangers is Chapter 1, the first movie. 35 mil. Night Swim, Blumhouse movie, 32 mil. Imaginary, another Blumhouse movie, 28 mil. Abigail, 25 mil. The First Omen, 20 mil. The Watchers, 18. Tarot, 18.7. Immaculate, 15.6. And Late Night with the Devil, my boy, coming in at $10 million. So
It's a limited release too.
Mm-hmm.
it was, which that's actually a huge thing for Late Night with the
Those
Devil.
Blumhouse movies mean nothing.
The Blumhouse movies are catering
They're
towards.
smelly. They smell. They stink. I don't like them.
Okay, well, here's the thing you have to realize. So yes, I agree, but they're also
No press is
catering,
bad press.
they're catering towards us 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
I know I was never a little
any
girl.
horror fan is a good horror fan. Get them started early.
No.
Yep.
I was never that horror fan.
Oh my god!
I mean, maybe you were, but I wasn't. No, I was.
So you
never
didn't go
that.
see The Ring. You didn't go see like any of that, like any other horror movies that weren't hardcore.
You just
horror.
compared Imaginary to The Ring. That's blasphemous.
Well, I'm saying The Ring was a box office success.
Yeah, but
that's
it
what I'm
wasn't
saying.
imaginary.
All right. Well,
It's
it
terrible.
was not
It's a
imaginary.
terrible.
Yes,
one.
that's true.
Blumhouse has turned into the McDonald's of horror.
Yeah,
essentially.
Blumhouse can suck my fucking cock.
Yeah, I mean,
Andrew,
they had
with the
they
subtlety
had
of a fucking sledgehammer to the face, as always, as wont to see on this show.
It's just
Tony, go ahead.
they just had like the Halloween franchise in the palm of their hand and decided to like lop off 4 of their fingers. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
they dropped the ball on that so bad. Like it could have it had so many of the right notes, but it didn't. But I could do 4 fucking episodes with you guys on Blumhouse and their idiocracy. So
Well, if you'd like to come back and talk about that, we would certainly love to have you.
I would
back.
love to talk about Blumhouse. It's my
That would-
favorite.
that'd be
We love to hate on Bumhouse on the show. Not
that would be a
gonna lie.
grind my gears Patreon special.
I think it's a good idea to do an episode where it's just a discussion on where horror is now, what it's doing, what works, what doesn't work, and even if it doesn't work, why does it still work anyway?
I love that.
Let's do
Because
it.
it
is
really
amazing.
is like anytime a horror movie is getting money, that's keeping horror alive, whether the movie's good or not. There are sacrificial lamb movies, because without that, you don't get fucking Terrifier 2 going to theaters. You don't get Outwaters going to theaters. You don't get Late Night with the Devil. You don't get the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Like all these, like just like kind of like ridiculous fucking movies. But
Love that you
No, I
included
still-
that, by the way,
see, though,
knowing
Matt-
how much you
but
hate
Matt,
that movie.
I think
Yeah.
you still do get those movies without those shitty Blumhouse movies, because the people that go see the Blumhouse movies aren't going to see the other ones. So
well, you don't
they
know
get
that
the
for
budget.
sure.
I get you what you're saying. They're saying they get the budget for those movies because of that, but also I think they're losing money at some point, right?
If they do,
None of
the
those
numbers are showing that they're not.
They're not losing
They're-
money on Imaginary. How much did that movie cost?
No, I just looked up Imaginary. That cost 13 million to make, and they made 62 worldwide.
That movie. Well, I guess that makes sense. For some reason, I feel like their budget, like on those like advertisements and stuff.
That's insane that they made that much
The-
much money.
so good.
I know.
That's insane.
Because this came with like Megan last year, where it was like this was a frustrating
like
movie
talking
to see
about
get
Megan.
released.
Mhm.
But it's like you have to, as a horror fan, you have to understand and appreciate that those are like necessary stepping stones for other things to happen.
Agreed.
So
We sound gatekeepy shitting on these movies, to be
We're not
honest
being
with you.
gatekeeping.
Yeah,
but
we sound
Megan shit. That's not
I didn't like it, but it's a
It's not-
gateway.
it's
It's
not
a gateway
targeted
movie.
towards
but
us,
that's,
though.
I don't care who that's targeted to. It's still shite.
I can see what you're saying on that, Mike. I can.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just that I think there's a general frustration. If we're being kind,
Sure.
there's a general frustration with the potential and anticipation of some franchises, and it just leaves you guessing when you leave. Like, all right, they got me for my money. They got me. I thought I was going to see something that was going to reinvigorate me, but instead I'm realizing it's just part of the assembly line at times, and that's just the way it
Blumhouse
is.
is great marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
For sure.
And
they give away their film in the commercial.
They do. So did you
I don't
see?
think that's good marketing.
Well,
Did you see the
get ready
original
for that.
Speak No Evil?
Speak No Evil remake.
Yes.
Yeah, they ruined that. They just ruined that.
You saw the original one?
Yes.
You saw the trailer for the new one?
No, not yet.
Don't.
Go
Gave it
after
away.
this. Go,
Oh,
no,
no.
no. You've seen the original. Go after this. Go watch the trailer for that, and then we'll circle back and talk about it because it's
Oh my god.
unbelievable.
Well, that's why long
what
legs
they show in the trailer.
they give away like every plot point, don't they?
Yeah.
I already know
They do.
Blumhouse. It's like what they did with The Exorcist. All right, again, we should save this all for a special on Blumhouse.
It is quite frankly, to be honest, embarrassing what they did with the Halloween franchise and what they did with the Exorcist.
Well, this is part of the
Exorcist
reason why I said I
franchise.
will never watch trailers again.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Because you're ruining movies.
Anyway, another story for another podcast. All right. We've been going for a long time here, guys.
Yeah.
So to be respectful of everybody's time, anything further on In a Violent Nature, on Bumhouse, on let's see, anything else we talked about this evening, on Spooktacular the movie, on anything else? Tony. Yay? Nay?
I'll wrap it up on In a Violent Nature. If you've watched any of the Vincent DeSanti Never Hike Alone films, the fan films for Friday the 13th, if you haven't, I highly suggest them because I feel like they watched those two fan films, which are incredibly made, and tried to grab some of that lightning and make this film. And if you have to see those other two films to understand what I said, but I think that it has a solid foundation. I'm hoping that part 2 will improve upon a lot of the groundwork that they laid in this one, because I mean, who are we kidding, folks? You didn't even need to see this movie to know the ending that there's going to be another,
Has it been confirmed?
I wouldn't doubt it because it is ambiguous at the end. So, it's going to happen. They saw how much hype this is getting now, and watch Bumhouse is going to grab it, but at the same time,
Love it.
I'm conflicted. I'd say I'd give it probably, I don't know, what's that into Rotten Tomatoes meter? Like, I'll give it fresh. I'll give it a fresh.
Fresh? Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think every horror fan should watch it, especially if you're a slasher fan. Check it out. And you know what? Worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Don't watch it again.
I think based on. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, if that's it, like, you know what I mean? It's worth the watch. It's not a long movie. It goes by quick. You get some cool kills out of it, and then you might even be like, wow, this was an interesting take. So it could open you up to kind of a different avenue of movies that you might want to check out afterwards.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, if you listen to this and your takeaway was we were not recommending this movie, that was not the case. I would absolutely recommend that you watch this movie as a horror fan. There's a lot to like here.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's like, this genre-defining, reinventing the wheel classic that a lot of people are saying that it might be. Not by any way, shape, or form. So
I'll tell you what it is.
Good, not great. Andrew, go ahead.
It's closer to defining a genre than fucking Skinamarink is. So people blow Skinamarink. That movie sucks ball bags.
Yeah, I know.
I'm good with that. So I'll take this movie over that any day. If we're doing two genre bending movies, I'll take this. That analog horror. Oh, Skinamarink. That movie's terrible. No one wants to watch that crap.
I love how you find a way to shit on Skinamarink.
No, but these are two
I'm not
genre-defining movies.
I'm not complaining. I'm
well, I didn't
laughing.
find a way. This was the next level of this conversation. Was
genre defining?
It's genre defining.
bending.
At this point, we could have
Genre
Andrew just
defining at
record
this
his
point.
rant,
Yeah,
on
we
Skinamarink,
literally-
and we could just
I'm not
plug it
ranting.
at the end of every episode.
Yeah, he has to get it in before we sign off. Always.
Otherwise, I'll kill somebody.
I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
I'll kill you. I can't.
Andrew's gonna have a camera following him behind, point of view, killing people.
Do we have a
Violent nature.
Do we have
I
a
got my-
topic for next week? Is there a? Are we
Oh
in
fuck,
order
that's
at any
right.
point?
Whose pick is it?
Well, is Matt back?
Are you back next week?
I think
Matthew?
I'm back. Yeah, I think
All right,
so.
Matthew.
I think it's Matt then.
Give us something depressing to watch, Matthew.
All right, Cannibal Holocaust. Let's get this thing
Oh,
over
that's-
with.
Fuck you. Oh.
That's a
The
pick. Cool.
worst.
Thank you.
Anybody want some turtle?
Well, okay. Cannibal Holocaust next week. If
It's
you
on
like
Peacock.
animal abuse.
Believe it or
Yep.
not.
And,
It's on
Anthony Hahn.
Peacock. Are you fucking
What's it on? What's it on after Parks and Recs?
Yeah,
That's so wild. That's on Peacock? That's
it
insane.
is.
Insane. Well,
I'm gonna
anyway,
watch The Office and then watch fucking.
before we get too off the rails, I really have to take a moment here to sincerely thank our guest, Tony, tonight. Tone,
Tony.
it's been absolutely fucking great having you on, man.
Oh,
Great to talk about this movie with you. A lot of fun. I hope you had as much fun as
I
we
made
did.
peanut butter sandwiches.
I-
and you didn't eat any of them.
Thanks
I
for
appreciate you
bullshitting
guys.
with us.
No, thanks for reaching out, man. It's every time I get to hang out with you guys, my cheeks hurt from laughing. So thanks again. But one more thing before I go.
Yes,
I just
please.
wanted to give a shout out. I texted Uncle Lloyd Kaufman this week just to send my condolences. If anybody's a fan of trauma films, Doug Sackman passed away, and Doug was only 44, but he had been with trauma for 25 years. He did so much behind the scenes. He was after the first movie, Sergeant Kabuki Man. He was in all those, and he did all the special effects for trauma. And you know a trauma film when you see it.
Oh yeah.
That was his signature. And unfortunately, he passed away this week. And just wanted to say for the trauma fans and for the fans of horror in general that Doug Sackman's a big loss, and may he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace and cheers.
R.I.P. brother.
Tony always has such a way. I think I have a way with words sometimes when I'm delusional, and Tony has a way with words that I will never be able to achieve. He always has a great way of saying anything. So
You should hear me read The Horse Whisperer next time. I can do that.
Well, Tony, one more time, if people want to follow you or keep up with what you're into these days, where can they find you, my friend?
You can find me on Facebook, Anthony Landry. If I know you, I'll friend you. If not, go fuck yourself. Secondly, I would have Instagram under my handle, Chief Quint Hooper. I think we know what that's about.
If you don't know the reference, then don't fucking follow it. Fuck off.
And same on Twitter as well. And I think I'm on Threads, but who gives a fuck about Threads? So yeah.
Movie?
That's,
Friends?
No,
Yeah.
the
Matt's
social media platform.
Matt wrote an article about Threads.
And maybe I'll make a TikTok someday. Who knows? We'll see. But other than that, thank you for having me, guys. I had a blast.
Awesome. Yeah, dude, we love having you. Anytime you want to come back, feel free, my friend.
I appreciate it. I may take you up on that sooner than later.
I hope so. I hope you do. All right, Andrew, Matthew, Tony, it's been great, gentlemen. I know we went long this episode. Hope you've enjoyed this episode
Was
of
it
America's Hometown Horror. We're almost at 2 hours here, but
felt like 3 hours.
Yeah, it really.
so
It felt like well, okay, you douche. It felt like I thought it flew, but anyway. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike, and we hope to see you or hear you or hope you listen to us back on the next episode next week whenever we're back to talk about Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
All right. That's it, baby. So, Tony, Andrew, Matthew, say goodbye to your listeners. Good evening.
Adios, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, folks.
See you later.
Yeah. Bye. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and I want to say thanks again for listening to another episode of our show. If you're interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I'd highly recommend you check out the shows from our friends over on the Inebriart Podcast Network. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find shows from Inebriart, the Old Colony Cast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, and Retro Redoctopus, so head on over and give them a listen.